Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take stacks of data, dense research, and turn it all into useful knowledge.
And today, we are cracking open the 5th annual State of FinOps 2025 report.
Yeah, and if you're listening and want to know how huge organizations are really managing tech costs and where that's all going next year, you are in exactly the right place.
For anyone who doesn't live and breathe this, FinOps, that's financial operations, is basically the practice of bringing financial accountability to the very flexible and often messy world of modern tech spending.
And the data we're looking at, it's huge. This survey covers companies that are managing over $69 billion in public cloud spend.
It's a massive signal. It tells you exactly where cost governance is headed on a global scale.
So our mission today is to pull out the key insights. We want to see how this practice is evolving beyond just, cutting cloud costs.
Right. And the biggest immediate takeaway is that FinOps isn't just a cloud optimization team anymore. It's now seen as essential for delivering value from all technology investments.
Which brings us to what the report is calling the Cloud Plus era. Okay, let's unpack that. That sounds like a fundamental shift in responsibility for these practitioners.
It is. Cloud Plus really just means they're exporting their success.
Exporting success.
Yeah, they're applying the capabilities they mastered in the public cloud, things like predictability, forecasting, full cost allocation, and applying those same disciplines to, well, non-cloud areas.
So different tech, but the same financial rigor.
Precisely. And the data shows this isn't a future plan. It's happening right now.
So where are they expanding?
Well, the majority of FinOps practices are now managing SaaS spend, software as a service. Nearly half are also tackling licensing costs, which is notoriously difficult.
Oh, I can imagine.
And then you see the most mature orgs starting to apply these models to private cloud and even traditional data center spend.
I think the most telling stat here, the one that shows you the real headache, is the predicted increase in effort. When they asked where they expect to put in more work over the next year, managing SaaS spend was number one, a 25% predicted increase. That's huge.
It is, and that reflects the complexity. It's not like a virtual machine you can just turn off. SaaS optimization means, fighting shadow IT, dealing with legal, procurement.
Yeah.
It's a completely different muscle.
Speaking of rapid expansion, we absolutely have to talk about the AI tsunami.
Oh, yeah.
This has been the single most dramatic shift in scope this year.
The growth rate is just unprecedented. Last year, only about 31% of respondents said they were managing AI spend. This year, 63%.
Wow.
That is a massive overnight shift. It tells you AI projects are now at a scale where the finance teams just can't ignore them anymore.
And when you look at where they're planning to invest in AI, the vast majority is in public cloud offerings. I think it was 69% are investing in cloud SaaS or infrastructure for AI.
That's right. But the key thing is that they're investing across multiple infrastructure areas. AI isn't just in one place. It touches everything, which is why FinOps is being asked to manage it.
And I saw a really interesting detail in there about the financial services industry.
Yes, that was a fascinating nuance. While most industries spread their AI investments out, the financial services segment plans significantly heavier investment into data centers and private cloud for AI.
Is that a cost thing? Or is it more about regulation? Data locality is always huge in finance.
It's almost certainly both, but with regulation and control being the primary driver. I mean, if you're running highly sensitive proprietary models, the extra governance and security of a private environment often outweighs the flexibility of the public cloud, even if the cost is higher.
That makes perfect sense. So how are they actually managing this new AI spend? Because with cloud, the conversation is always about optimization, saving money. Are they trying to do that with AI yet?
Not primarily. And this is a really critical insight into how new high-spend areas mature. For AI, optimization is actually a low priority right now. The most important activities are all under the foundational domains. Understand cloud usage and cost, and quantify business value.
So it's the basics first. Allocation, reporting, forecasting. They're just building the scaffolding.
Exactly. They need to know who's using the models, which business unit to charge, what the trend looks like. You can't optimize what you can't measure, and for AI, that measurement system is still being built.
And that's a crucial insight for you to keep in mind. When a new technology spend explodes, the first phase is always about visibility and accountability, not savings, which I think sets the stage for our next point.
It does. If we connect this back to the more established cloud spend, we see a huge shift in priorities. It really signals a maturation across the board.
So right now, the immediate number one priority is still workload optimization and waste reduction. That's held by 50% of respondents. It's the quick win.
It is. But if you look at the future priorities, what they plan to focus on over the next 12 months, that's where the real strategy is.
And what happens?
Workload optimization drops a lot, by 21% down to second place.
So if tactical quick win optimization is dropping, what takes the top spot?
Implementing governance and policy at scale. That becomes the #1 priority.
Ah, so that's the pivot to maturity.
That's it. Organizations realize that after you get the low-hanging fruit, you need a centralized machine to sustain those gains.
Hmm.
You need policies, you need automation to push optimization out to engineering teams and, enforce consistency.
That's the definition of scaling, right? You get the easy wins, then you have to institutionalize the culture. Otherwise, those gains just bleed away.
And you see that shift reflected in the other rising priorities. The capabilities with the biggest jump are all strategic. Managing costs beyond public cloud, that's cloud plus ADA jumps 5 places.
Managing AML spend.
Jumps 4 places. And getting to unit economics also goes up by 5 places.
Unit economics is huge. That means you're no longer just looking at the total bill. You're asking, how much does this cost me per customer, per transaction? It's a value conversation, not just a cost one.
Exactly. You're moving from cost-cutting to a value delivery mindset. But all this expansion in governance takes a huge lift.
Right. So if these teams are taking on AI, SaaS, licensing, and shifting to deep governance, what do they say they need to succeed? This gets us to resources and workload.
Well, organizational alignment, getting leadership buy-in is still the top need, but it's actually reduced by 9% from last year, which is a good sign.
So leadership is getting the message.
It seems like it, yeah. The alignment is starting to take hold.
Then what saw the biggest increase in what they need?
Investment and tooling, a huge 20% increase. Practitioners are specifically calling out the need for time, for upskilling, for tooling, and crucially, for automation. They have the buy-in, now they need the operational fuel for this much bigger workload.
And this ties directly to the risk of burnout, right? The report paints a really clear picture of how stretched these teams are.
It does. We asked what areas they're trying to improve. On average, they're actively trying to increase effort in nearly 12 different capabilities.
12. While only decreasing effort in what, 1 or 2?
Exactly.
Wow. So if you're trying to tackle allocation, forecasting, optimization, governance, and now AI visibility all at once, what realistically falls through the cracks?
I think the risk is you sacrifice depth for breadth. You're forced to do good enough coverage across everything rather than deep, highly optimized work. It supports the urgent need for investment in people and automation to increase productivity.
And to handle that scope, they must be collaborating more with other teams, like IT finance.
Absolutely essential. We're seeing increasing collaboration with ITFM, IT Financial Management, and ITSM. Those are the top partners. And what's more, teams are actually merging. IT Asset Management, TBM. They're increasingly just becoming part of the FinOps team. The lines are blurring.
That unification makes having consistent data even more critical. Which brings us to a specific hurdle, FOCS adoption.
Right. FOCSS, the FinOps open source billing specification.
Why is a unified billing spec so important?
It comes back to the core pain point in FinOps normalization. I mean, you get a bill from one cloud provider or a SaaS vendor, and it looks totally different from the next one.
So you spent all your time just cleaning up data.
Weeks of it, sometimes. FightCS solves this by creating a standard open source format. It means that whether the bill is from provider A or vendor C, your systems can read it the same way, automatically. It's fundamental for scaling.
So what's the uptake? Are people using it?
Over half, 57%, have plans to use FOCS in the next 12 months. And of those, more than half want to automatically integrate it into their data pipeline. It shows a real desire to automate that data ingestion work.
But there are always roadblocks. What are the hurdles?
The usual suspects.
Yeah.
Time, skills, and waiting for the vendors to actually adopt it themselves.
Right.
One of the freeform answers was perfect. It said, tech debt and lack of SaaS providers natively exporting it.
So the practitioners are ready, but the ecosystem needs to catch up. The other area that seems to have stalled out is sustainability. The reporting there has remained remarkably flat globally, only a 1% change.
It's plateauing, but the geographic differences are really striking. In Europe, 53% of practices report carbon metrics. That's up 18%.
Which probably points to regulatory pressure in the EU.
Almost certainly. But in North America, the biggest group of respondents, it's flat. Still, only 29% are reporting on cloud carbon.
And this highlights what's really driving decisions.
Overwhelmingly, it's cost. 15% of practices make optimization decisions based on cost. Only 3% do it based on carbon. That gap is just stark. Cost hits the bottom line immediately.
So if we pull this all together, what does this deep dive mean for you, the listener? We've seen FinOps evolve from a pure cloud cost team into really a core financial accountability practice for everything. Cloud, SaaS, data center, AI.
That's the summary. And the heavy lifting right now in these new Cloud Plus areas is all about getting foundational visibility and allocation. They're just trying to understand the cost and value before they can even think about sustained optimization.
And why this matters to you is that the role is expanding so fast you're being asked to manage a dozen capabilities at once. This demands a strategic shift in resources upskilling, automation to polymation, to handle that scope without sacrificing depth. The buy-in is finally there. Now the tooling and time have to follow.
Precisely. And this raises, I think, a crucial, provocative final question for everyone on this path.
Go on.
Given that practitioners are already stretched thin, managing 12 capabilities, and all the investment is focused on just getting visibility into these new high-spend areas like AI, how much longer can they defer critical optimization efforts before those costs spiral completely out of control?
And management is forced to react instead of govern. That is the challenge. A perfect place to leave that question hanging. Thank you for diving deep with us.
My pleasure.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.